Oh, a new FSD version is coming out, v12.3.4. And remember this, 3 significant improvements to FSD will roll out roughly every 2 weeks, should be really shining bright by late April or early May. So I'm expecting some new updates, good ones. This might be another great update. And because Tesla is no longer compute constrained, I expect a lot more of these updates. Today we are having a bit of a wide stock market crash in the US, with Fed rate cuts now pushed back to September and 2 at best in 2024, and 10-year treasuries now approaching key 4.5% threshold. Long duration high PE stocks like Tesla at 2024 PE of 63 getting hit the hardest today. Interest rates are going to stay higher because of sticky inflation report that we just got. Remember what I said about a year and a half ago? I said, I think inflation is going to stay around for a bit longer, and interest rates, therefore, are not going to be cut as soon as many people expect. I'm definitely not happy to be right about that, because high inflation is terrible for the middle class especially. It's also not great for Tesla stock, but it lets us accumulate at lower prices for longer, because eventually I believe the interest rates are going to come down. Good news for our Australian friends. Tesla has opened its first in-house collision repair center in Australia, which will of course help Tesla sell more Teslas. Tesla got a new paid advertisement out, no thinking required. Model Y automatically calculates your charging needs and guides you to supercharger locations along your route, starting at $37,500 after federal tax incentive. I think they should say that the incentive is applied immediately. You benefit from it immediately. You don't need to wait to file your tax return. Troy got a lot of flack earlier for his predictions for Q1, but he turned out to be right. In the tweet below on March 2nd, I explained why Tesla sales in Europe would be less in Q1 2024 than in Q1 last year, even though January plus February 2024 was higher than the January plus February of the previous year. Some people were not convinced at the time, but we now have the actual numbers, and yes, Troy turned out to be right. And I got some flack too for reporting what Troy thought at that time, but I know he has a good track record, and I refuse to ignore highly credible predictions based on a lot of good data. And look, as an all-in Tesla stock investor in my stock portfolio, I want to know the bad news more than I want to know what the good news are today. Bad news is what really matters to me. I want to be able to argue the bad case for Tesla stock better than the bears can, because that means I don't have blind spots. And if I'm still bullish after knowing all of the bad, it actually strengthens my overall Tesla stock thesis. I think deliveries matter, yes, but autonomy, FSD, that matters so much more for Tesla. So I briefly mentioned this yesterday, and I was a bit speechless when I saw this. Tesla hints Cybertruck battery pack may double in size one day, says supercharging improvements are coming soon. This is all based on the Sandy Munro Cybertruck teardown. There is a significant amount of empty space inside, with some suggesting there was enough space for twice the number of Tesla's 4680 battery cells that could fit inside. I also saw comments saying that this is for ventilation, but then the Cybertruck lead engineer said this. He said, I would say it's half full. Now, we know that Tesla is going to offer range extenders, which will be put in the Cybertruck bed, but now it sounds like that's only going to be temporary. That's not the permanent plan that Tesla is going to execute. So when Tesla is no longer battery constrained and people are no longer lining up for the Cybertruck in massive droves, I think Tesla is then going to massively increase the range. And the Cybertruck's range could get close to 700 miles then. Plus, you could still add the range extender into the bed, I think, which would make the range definitely enough for towing, and it would then be a true workhorse. Now, of course, the vehicle would be heavier and the handling would no longer be as sharp, but if you're using it for towing and things like that, you don't really care about the handling all that much. So I'm pretty happy with the Cybertruck right now. But because we know Tesla is battery constrained with the 4680s, the strategy that Tesla has chosen, I think for now, makes so much sense. Once you no longer have the constraint for 4680 battery production, then we double Cybertruck's range, but not before then.